it's near the end of the season and your tomato plants look super healthy, super lush, super dark green, and your neighbors just keep telling you how amazing and healthy your plants are. But you feel a pang of sadness and depression because you know that under all that foliage, there's barely any tomatoes. And the ones that do form are pretty much all small and pathetic. Before I started this YouTube channel, I'd watched countless gardening videos on YouTube. And I was always kind of disappointed when I watched how to grow tomato videos. And, they were giving all these tips on how to grow, amazing tomato plants. But yet in their video, they never actually showed their results. Or if they did, their plants looked, super lush and healthy, but there was not many tomatoes. And I was thinking, what's going on? And these were even some channels that had, thousands of subscribers, some even hundreds of thousands of subscribers, possibly. And, they're giving people all this gardening advice. It's a how-to video, how to grow more tomatoes. But there's no results. So how can I tell that, that I should follow your advice? So after a while of being kind of discouraged by all these videos that, were showing not very amazing plants, not very high production, I did some research of my own on Google. And I also, I've been growing tomatoes for 7 years now. So, I have quite a bit of experience, and I've actually had some pretty great harvests in the past. Every year for the past few years, I've been harvesting, many bags full of tomatoes, many grocery store bags full of tomatoes, every summer. And I only live in a fairly small house in the city. I only live on a fairly small property in the city. I grow my tomatoes in my front yard, a small vegetable garden. And so because I've been pretty successful, I want to kind of share with you why exactly these tomato plants on YouTube and why your tomatoes may be producing barely any tomatoes, even though your plants may look super healthy and lush. So it's actually not a straight bullet answer. There's actually a couple things that I need to talk about here. But the first and most important thing to getting more tomatoes and not as many leaves are you basically just want a higher ratio of tomato fruits to leaves. And the biggest kicker is fertilizer and nutrients in the soil and nutrients that you're actually adding to the plants. Okay, so the reason these plants are getting so lush is because of nitrogen. Nitrogen is an element. If you've ever been in school, you probably have, and if you've been in chemistry class, they get out the periodic table and they talk about elements. Well, nitrogen is one of those elements. I'm sure you've heard of it before. So anyway, nitrogen is responsible in plants for basically leaf growth. Now, I'm not going to get into a biology lesson here because I don't have the credentials for that. I'm not in university for plant science or anything like that. I took biology in high school, grade 12 biology, but I still don't think I'm qualified to give you actual biological results, but biological reasoning. But all you need to know is that nitrogen's for leaves. Okay, simple as that. That's why people add high nitrogen fertilizer to their lawns. Okay, go out to your local Lowe's, Home Depot, whatever, and look at a bag of lawn fertilizer. It's going to be super high in nitrogen. And how you can tell this is look at the NPK ratio. Okay, NPK, it's 3 numbers, and it stands for nitrogen percentage, phosphorus percentage, and potassium percentage. And the first number is nitrogen. So you'll see that the first number is going to be a lot higher compared to the other numbers. That means there's a higher percentage of nitrogen, okay? All right. So I'm rambling, I know, but I'm just trying to get my point across here. So, okay, it's easy. Just reduce the nitrogen then, if it's producing all these leaves, not tomatoes. Yeah, well, that'll help for sure, but there's one more thing you need to know. Well, actually, a couple more things, but there's one more nutrient. Well, two more nutrients technically, but the biggest thing is phosphorus, okay? Phosphorus is another element. It's an element that stimulates root growth, but also it stimulates flower and fruit development. Fruit development is obviously, producing tomatoes. So what you want to do is you want to go to the store and you want to increase phosphorus and you want to decrease nitrogen, okay? Now, I'm not telling you should not add nitrogen to your plants, to your soil, because, obviously plants do need nitrogen, but I'm just saying add a lot of phosphorus compared to nitrogen, because that's going to more focus on the flowers and the fruit development, okay? Also, growing in compost, for example, if you grow plants in just like pure compost, many people probably don't realize this, but compost is a very high source of nitrogen. So like if I were to just go outside and just grow a tomato plant in just a bucket of pure compost, it's going to be super bushy, super healthy, but it's not going to have many tomatoes most likely. So you want to limit your nitrogen essentially and increase your phosphorus. All right? That's the biggest tip. There's also a couple more little things which I'm going to mention now, okay? Sunlight. Sunlight is absolutely critical for growing lots of tomatoes because I don't know, it's used for photosynthesis, okay? That's all I know. And it'll produce more fruits. Okay, just do this experiment. I know I'm saying okay. I don't know why. I'm just trying to give you guys information, okay? Why am I saying okay so much? All right. So sunlight is crucial for fruit and flower development. So if you don't believe me, go out, plant a tomato plant in a shady spot in your yard, plant another one in a super sunny spot in your yard. See which one does better and produces more flowers and tomatoes. I guarantee you the one that's in the sun will. Okay? Oh, why do I keep saying okay? I'm going to get so many dislikes on this video. Anyway, okay. Just to summarize, increase phosphorus, decrease nitrogen relative to the phosphorus, and plant your tomatoes in full sun in an area that gets at least 8 hours of sunlight a day, preferably 10 to 11, even higher. But don't plant your tomatoes in shade, okay? Because that's a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for just leaves and not fruits, which I have done before. My first year of growing tomatoes, first 2 years actually, I grew them in my backyard, okay? Why do I keep saying okay? And anyway, what happened was I got, these huge plants, really healthy plants, and they did produce some tomatoes. They did, but it wasn't an impressive crop. And I attribute that just to the fact that there wasn't much sunlight, and also because I was adding some high nitrogen fertilizer, which I shouldn't. So really, once you plant your tomato plant, they say in a lot of online sources that you should just fertilize, pretty much right around the time of planting. And of course, also put in like stuff in your planting hole, but just fertilize with a liquid fertilizer right at the start, and then wait until fruits actually set. Once they're the size of a quarter, then they say to use super high phosphorus fertilizer. And in the past couple of years, I've just been putting high phosphorus fertilizer on every couple weeks, water soluble. You can use pretty much anything that's water soluble, that's high in phosphorus. A good example is Miracle Grow Bloom Booster. It's 15, 30, 15. So the highest number is phosphorus, and the other numbers are nitrogen and potassium, which are lower. So that's going to really boost fruiting and flowering production. But there's other brands out there, probably organic brands as well. But yeah, so I hope this video was somewhat helpful. Just biggest thing, don't fall into the trap of putting on, loads and loads of compost and loads of nitrogen-rich fertilizer. Chicken poop's a high source of nitrogen, so just be careful. If you want to get big tomatoes, you got to boost the phosphorus. That's the biggest thing. Boost the phosphorus and sunlight. All right. So that's it. Today's video. I know it was super long and pretty much unedited, and I usually don't do videos like this, and it's probably not going to get more than, I'm assuming, 10 views or maybe 50 views if I'm lucky. But anyway, I hope it was helpful. I hope it contains some good information. I think if you follow my advice on this, I know what I'm talking about from experience, from research, and also from talking firsthand to a farmer on the phone. I actually talked to a tomato farmer, and he said the same thing. He said, nitrogen. This was one year, and I grew massive bushy plants and not many tomatoes. So I asked him, what am I doing wrong? And he said, yeah, the nitrogen fertilizer will do it. And also, another thing is just pampering your plants too much, because sometimes, tomato plants, like any plant, they want to reproduce, and like any living thing, they want to reproduce. And if you keep giving them, all this fertilizer and stuff, they're gonna think, oh, I'm growing so well, I have an unlimited lifespan. But you want to make them feel like, you don't want to trick them into thinking that they're going to have an unlimited lifespan, because they don't, because the frost is going to kill them. Okay. So you want to pretty much just plant them, give them high phosphorus fertilizer. Don't baby them. Don't mollycoddle them too much once they get started, because that's just going to produce, a lot of leaves. So yeah, hopefully this video is helpful. I'm going to cut it out now because it's like over 12 minutes long, and I'm wasting my time because probably no one's watching at this point. If you are, then thank you. And also, wow, I'm amazed that you would listen to me rant for this long. But okay, bye guys. I'm Lucas from Lucas Grows Best. I'll be posting more videos, better videos that are not just me talking with an iPhone, but those videos are a lot of work. I just wanted to get this out here real quick for you guys, so that you guys have some useful information that's going to help you grow your tomatoes well. And I also want to do some short films and / comedy skits, which I actually have 2 planned. One is what's it called? It's called How to Terminate. Never mind. I'm not going to give it away. Yeah, bye.